I had an idea. Not just any idea, the most ridiculous idea of my life. Somehow, I got it into my head that it would be fun to do a triathlon. Yes, I used fun and triathlon in the same sentence, and I meant it. So I registered for a race about 6 months away, and I joined a gym, and I trained really, really hard. And on race day, I actually finished about 15 minutes ahead of my goal time. It felt great. It felt like that. Thank you. And in the middle of the adrenaline rush, I did the unthinkable. I registered for another one. A much longer, harder race, only 3 weeks away. That morning, after swimming a quarter of a mile and biking 35 miles with a really nasty headwind, it was time to run. Only my legs forgot how to do that. So I started to walk really, really slowly. Eventually, I was able to move to a jog. It was hot. I was exhausted. And I was pretty sure I was going to die at any moment. At about the time I gave serious thought to giving up and going home, a man with one arm and 2 prosthetic legs bounded past me with words of encouragement. "You can do it. Keep moving forward, one step at a time. You've got this." I'm still not sure if he was real or if my exhausted mind manifested this motivational speaker, but regardless, his encouragement worked. Suddenly renewed, I was able to notice the interactions going on around me. Volunteers handing out water and sports drinks, police officers directing traffic, families on the race course had drug out sprinklers to try to relieve the heat, kids lined up on the sidewalks giving out high fives, and competitors were cheering each other on. Suddenly it became so clear to me. Triathlons weren't a one-person event. It was a team sport. They were my team. There was no way for me to cross the finish line, to get my medal, to achieve my goal, without the help of countless other people. I spent the rest of the race reflecting on them, not just the volunteers and the people with the sprinklers, but a layer deeper, because I had a laundry list of equipment, a bike, running shoes, an obscene amount of spandex that I needed to complete this task. And behind each one of those things was a team of engineers and artists who put them together, shipped them, sold them to me, made sure the shoes fit and that my chain wasn't going to fall off my bike. And as I was running, I thought to myself, could this be a network? Could we all be interconnected through networks of help? Could help be some kind of molecule that holds our society together? Now, those of you who have done crazy things like triathlons and marathons know that these do ridiculous things to your brain. As a result, I didn't quite trust myself. I didn't trust my new theory that we could all be connected through networks of help. So when I got home, I started testing my theory. Grocery store, cooking dinner, doing laundry, home repair, projects at work. And it worked every time. So let's test it out. Let's do my talk. Let's do this moment together. There I am. And I got here today in a car that was built in Oakland, Michigan, by engineers and technicians and assembly line workers. I drove here on county and city roads that were cleared, surveyed, maintained, paved by city and county workers. I'm wearing a new outfit, and it's a cotton blend. How many farmers and weavers did it take to turn the plant into fabric before it was even sewn into a garment? We've got you, the audience. I've stood up here and I've given this talk to an empty auditorium, and it's no fun at all. So thank you for being here today. And thank you, I hope, for wearing freshly laundered clothes. Clothes that you washed in a machine, again, designed and engineered by people not yourself. Using laundry detergent that came in a plastic bottle, from plastic that started on an oil rig or a corn farm. And on your way here this morning, how many of you stopped and got a cup of coffee? And as you drove through, did you think about the construction workers it took to build the building? This theater alone, how many trees are within the supports of the walls? How many trees are building the stage? And this is just one moment. This is my moment. When you connect the images, when you connect the people and the things, it very clearly becomes a network. And in sharing this moment, now we're all connected and we can link our maps together. How big does this get and how quickly? Now let's take a moment to actually discuss the word help, because I have a feeling somebody out there is thinking, the barista was doing their job this morning, they weren't helping me. And that's a perfectly common response. So let's make a cup of coffee. We can all do it, right? Looks something like that. Unfortunately, not without some help. In order to make a cup of coffee, you need land. And while you can grow coffee in the continental US, it's not going to be very good. What you need is land somewhere tropical. Puerto Rico, Hawaii, Costa Rica. Somewhere fun, exotic. Depending on how fancy you want your coffee, you may need to employ a family of those guys to help you process your beans. And of course, once you've mastered the roasting and sorting, you'll need to grind them and boil them using water from your home dug well. I can't drink coffee black. So my coffee farm has to have land for my sugar cane, which then has to be processed and refined. And of course, you need land for her. All for a single cup of coffee. Now, given that the definition of help is to give assistance or support to, and there's no mention of commercial interaction, give assistance or support to, I think we can all agree, especially at dark 30 in the morning, that the people who make this moment possible, whether they're baristas or farmers, are very helpful indeed. So after researching coffee extensively, I started actually digging into the word help itself. The first study I found sought to explore the inherent selfishness of children. The kids in this study were all under the age of 2 years old, and they were video recorded as they interacted with a puppet. And yes, the excitement level of the puppet was a control variable. So they were videotaped as they interacted with this puppet. And what the researchers found was that the kids were happiest when they were giving treats to the puppet, happier than when they were playing with it or eating the treats themselves. What's even more interesting is the kids were happier when they were giving the puppet their own treats as opposed to the researchers. And what these kids show us is that we inherently enjoy helping other people, especially when there's personal sacrifice involved. I know, I'm an adult, I don't play with puppets either, so I found the grown-up version. These researchers gave money to adults, and some of them they were told, spend the money on yourself. Others were told, spend the money on somebody else. Buy a cup of coffee for your coworker, pay for the tolls for the person in line behind you. Globally, we are happiest when we spend the money on someone else. The next study I looked at sought to examine our accuracy in estimating other people's willingness to help. Students on a college campus were asked, how many people do you think you'll have to ask for help before somebody actually helps you? And they were given 5 or 6 different scenarios. Here's what happened. The blue bars are their predictions, and the red bars are the actual numbers. They underestimated the helpfulness of strangers by close to 50% across all scenarios. What this means to us is that we are twice as likely to get help than we think we are. These researchers went one step further, and they looked at direct versus indirect requests for help. The scenario they used was a one-page survey. The direct requests were face-to-face, hey, will you take this survey? Again, blue bars are predictions, red bars are actual. The direct requests are similar to the other ones, about a 50% underestimation. But look at the mailed flyers. That's a 70% difference. We have to actually ask for help. The last study I looked at examined help in the workplace. And generally speaking, when we get help in the workplace, we're better employees. We make more accurate, effective decisions, and we learn from our peers. In addition to looking at existing research, I pulled some raw data from the General Social Survey, which is one of the most comprehensive sources of data available in the United States. And what my analysis showed was that people who have helpful coworkers and supervisors are more likely to believe that people are inherently helpful. Conversely, people who have less helpful coworkers and supervisors are more likely to believe that people are inherently out for themselves. What kind of effect do these mundane daily interactions have on one another? The last variable I looked at asked, who would you turn to for help with a major life choice? Only 3% said no one. 97% of us have somebody we would go to for help. Overwhelmingly, that somebody is family, about 80%. 50% of us would turn to a spouse. The other 30%, aunts, uncles, siblings, parents. We have people to talk to. So what's the remaining question? Why has help become a four-letter word? And honestly, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. As we've come to realize today, help is a normal, natural, completely necessary part of our society. Globally, we're all connected through these networks of help. Physiologically, we enjoy helping other people, especially when that help involves personal sacrifice. When we ask for help, we're more likely to get it than we think we are, and we do better work. And I'll tell you now, the most amazing experiences of my life, including standing on this stage today, have happened because somebody invited me on an adventure by asking for my help. You don't have to do a triathlon or some other crazy thing to notice these interactions going on around you. All you have to do is slow down and look around. Take a lesson from our dear friend and neighbor, Mr. Rogers, and look for the helpers. Everywhere there are people trying to help. Thank you.